Hello everyone and welcome back. And if this is the first time that you tune in this channel, thank you for doing so. And so please subscribe, like, and let's get ready. Oh, but before we start, if you're wondering why I have this puzzle here on the table, well, please go and check the previous videos that were explaining why I have it right here. And if you belong to this category over here, please subscribe and fix this little problem that we have. In today's video, I want to talk about something a little bit different. I want to rank the board game years. What I mean is I compared the years throughout the modern board gaming as expanded and evolved, and I compared the release those years and which year I found more exciting, where I found the most interesting or revolutionary games, and I ranked them and see what you think. At number 10, we have a year where it's very significant because there are games that they are still played today. They're brought so many things revolutionary, and they influenced the year afterwards very much. This year is 2012. In 2012, we have released like Terra Mystica and Lords of Waterdeep, games that they are still very much played today. What Lords of Waterdeep is a masterclass in worker placement, and Terra Mystica is a classic Euro game where people really enjoyed because of their a little bit. Perhaps is one of those games that has least luck component present in the game, and Eurogamers like it a lot. But I also like in that year we have games like Love Letter and Avalon that were released. These are party games or social games that really brought so many people into gamings because of they brought something new that wasn't seen it before. And so number 10 is the year 2012, and number 9 we have a year that has so many good games despite being a year where we have some problems here on planet Earth. And this year is 2020. This year, so we have great releases like Dune Imperium and The Lost Ruin of Arnak, and Gloomhaven, Jova the Lions, and Eclipse second edition. Excellent games that they still are in the top 100 games of all time on Board Game Geek. These games really, I think they have a staying power. Why this year is so low? Not because the games are not that good, it's just because overall, considering the industry, just 5 years ago, not that far. And I was really impressed that despite not being locked down in our places, in our houses, we've managed to come up. When I say we, the industry managed to come up with such excellent game that brought so many people around the table. And these are definitely some of the most favorite games of many people, and me included, like Dune Imperium. So at number 9 we have 2020. Number 8 we have a year that has some classic. These games, perhaps not very popular nowadays, but there sold millions of copies. They put the big companies on the track, like maybe no big companies at the time, but then now there are big companies like Seven Wonders, and this year is 2004. In 2004, we have game releases like Ticket to Ride, and then we have a Betrayal in the House of the Hill, and Memoir 44, and Power Grid. Games that any gamer has played at least once. They may not be their favorite, but they have been played. They are just really marked the industry. Ticket to Ride is one of those classic has really written the history and made a designer a millionaire just by playing one game. And every year we have some sort of releases, some sort of spin-off of Ticket to Ride. We have recently had the Ticket to Ride Legacy, incredible game. But let me tell you, just play the base game, Ticket to Ride Europe. I'm gonna be a happy man and really enjoyed it. So I have to mention this year. We're talking about 21 years ago right now, and but still all these games are in making. And now we have, for example, recently Seven Wonders and announced a new version of a Memoir 44. And there, yes, there are speculation about a spin-off in terms of IP. I don't know. I just seen some posts from the same company and some, teasing videos. But we'll stay and see. It's been 21 years and Memoir 44 came out, and we definitely want a revamp or a new version of it. So at number 8, we have 2004. And number 7, we have a very solid, yet this year is impressive. These are games that for a long time were at the top 10 games of all time. And one of them was my favorite game of all time. Still in my top 10, but slowly, dripping, or slowly going down, but not because it's a bad game. It's just so many good games and came out. We're talking about almost 10 years ago. Well, this year is 2016. 2016, we have two Colossus coming out, Terraforming Mars and Scythe. Scythe has been my number one game of all time for very, very long. We have so many good expansion for Scythe. We have also Expedition, which is a rework to some sort, or at least the same world of Scythe, and then Terraforming Mars. Still going, a stronghold hit the gold mine with Terraforming Mars, and every other year it hit in the market with some new spin-off, expansion, big box, whatever you wanna call it. Excellent game. And beside those two, don't forget we have a popular game like Sushi Go that really is a fantastic little party game of drafting game, very easy, very charming, that everyone enjoyed. And then we have a fantastic party game like Capitan Sonar. That was really, really unique game, where you have two teams playing battleship in real time, 4 people against 4, and this is such a unique game that really you don't find anything like that even after 10 years. Very impressive year, very solid. 2016 at my number 7. At number 6, we have a year where heavy games were released and games that really stick today. They have a very strong fan base. And one of these games stayed at the number 1 best game of all time on BGG. And this game is Gloomhaven. Together with Gloomhaven, this huge, ginormous Kickstarter that brought Dungeon Crawl experience to your table still gets played, because there's so much content that after 8 years, still people haven't finished it. But people have finished it and they can enjoy Frosthaven. And you have also a classic cooperative game like Spirit Island. By the way, I didn't play it, but it's a very popular hardcore cooperative game. And then we also have TI4, Twilight Imperium 4th edition, coming up in this year. A ginormous 4X game that it's a pleasure to play during convention. At the same year, we have a fantastic hit like Azuo. This is an abstract game that gets played over and over and over in many houses, including mine. With my parents-in-law, we keep playing this game over and over, and nobody gets tired. We have many releases throughout the years, but I'm gonna tell you, Azuo, released in 2017, is the best one. And finally, we also have Quacks of Quedlinburg, which recently had a reprint, a nice pusher luck game that brought happiness and fun to many families. And so, number 6, 2017. And number 5, we have probably, the year that is important, because we start bringing the concept of modern gaming to the market, to the mass market. People started gaining, or games start to evolve, get away from the classic Risk or the game of life, but people start playing games like Carcassonne. Carcassonne was released 25 years ago, and yet is it a game that is still fresh as it was at 25 years ago. Very simple tile placement game. No, you have this very modern concept for that time to build the board communally but score individually. So there is this competition in placing tiles and blocking the opponents to score the best points and try to set yourself up to score the most points. Very, very interesting. We have game like Citadels that brings interaction and really brings the simple take that to another level, to a more strategic and more interesting way to play that game. But don't forget, we also have grail games for many, like Queen's Gambit was released in 2000 when the first episode 1 of Star Wars were also released in the cinema. And then other games that I would like to mention, for example, Nightmare Production by Ronnie Canizia, the very first origin, I think Dream Factory was called. And then we have Monza. I think Monza is a fantastic kids game that still nowadays is something excellent for you to introduce board gaming to your kids. And so I had to include in on this list a year where Carcassonne was born, when Queen's Gambit was born, and this is number 5, 2000. And number 4, we have another fantastic year of games that they are very popular. They are still in the top 100, and just recently are turning 20 years old, and some of them are gonna get very soon a reprint. They were they were very rare to find nowadays. At that time, they were easy to find, but they were also not only fantastic game but also innovative. The theme was innovative, and also the production was stellar. 20 years ago already, the production for fantastic. In number 4, we have 2005. In 2005, we have Ticket to Ride Europe. You may say, wait a second, you already mentioned Ticket to Ride. What about Ticket to Ride Europe? Well, I think Ticket to Ride Europe deserve to be mentioned as well because of the impact that in the market. Ticket to Ride and Ticket to Ride Europe are, I believe, are two different games, significantly different games that you deserve to own both if you want, or if you prefer one of them. I prefer Ticket to Ride Europe. Is still something quite remarkable. In the same year, we have Twilight Struggle, this incredible two-player game, historic basic, based on the Cold War. This is something really incredible. Despite the look, this game was in the top 5 games of all time for many, many, many years. Very strategic, very engaging game. And then we have Arkham Horror, and a game that still now we have releases of a release of expansion. In this year, we also have a Glory to Rome, we have a Shadow of Camelot, and we have a Mission Red Planet. These are fantastic games that really, they bring something that unique, and still now after 10, 20 years, you cannot find something like this. I think the whimsical nature and the tactical nature of Mission Red Planet, or the Indian Trader of Shadow over Camelot, the theme like Twilight Struggle, you don't find them still in modern gaming or in games like it was from 2025. So 2005 deserve to be in this list and deserve the number 4 spot. At number 3, we have a year that is marked by innovation, marks by something that nobody have seen it done well before or never hit the market that vastly. And this is year 2015. In 2015, we have the release of Pandemic Legacy Season 1. Today, in 2025, therefore, after 10 years, Pandemic Legacy Season 1 is the number 2 game of all time, and it will stay there for a long time. This game is incredible. Yes, it was not the first legacy game, but it's the first legacy game that is widely played, is recognized like the turning point of legacy game. Yes, there was like a Risk Legacy at the beginning, but the experience was perhaps hindered by the game itself, by Risk Legacy. Pandemic, a very solid game, was brought to another level by the addition of a legacy component. In the same year, we have a Seven Wonders Duo, a two-player game that is perhaps considered the best two-player game of all time. And this year, or maybe last year, as the spin-off with the Lord of the Rings, and still hitting the table over and over because this game is that good. And for those that like miniature, 2015 it must be remembered as the year of Blood Rage, perhaps, or in my opinion, the best game designed by Eric Wong. And then we have also Forbidden Star, another IP. Today is a Grail game from some that is a fantastic battle, space battle with a Warhammer theme. And so at number 3 we have 2015. In at number 2 we have perhaps the year that most people think is the golden age of board gaming. From there, everything came better and better and better. And if you want to start your collection, if you are new to the hobby, perhaps pick any game released in that year and you really will enjoy it. In 2008, we have huge names coming out at the same time. This year is the year of Pandemic. We already mentioned Pandemic Legacy. Well, Pandemic Legacy was the implementation of, as I said, of a fantastic game which was released in 2008. Same year was the release of Dominion, the first deck building game that brought, show what you can do with a simple deck of cards and how engaging can be deck building. And from there we have all the spin-off that brought to other fantastic games that we already mentioned in this list. In 2008, we also have a Battlestar Galactica, a fantastic social deduction game that adds a fantastic theme and an incredible gameplay. And then we have also Masterclass in a Euro game like Le Havre. And finally, we also have a fantastic game for party games like Dixit, a game that inspires so many other party games that they came after that, and yet probably one of the best party game being released so far. So it was an easy choice for me to put a number 2 year 2008. And at number 1, I put a year that, is incredible. That year was incredible. It probably is the year that brought me into the hobby the most. Is the year where I started backing games on Kickstarter. And but honestly, I think it's a year that we could take all those games and be happy for the rest of our life. Perhaps here we have an example of what kind of game we're releasing that year, and that year is 2018. In 2018, we have the release of Root, we have the release of Quacks of Quedlinburg, we have the release of Western Legends, we have Everdell. Fantastic games that I love them so much. Give me one of them and I can play it over and over and over. And just as a spoiler alert, I consider Root the best game of all time. You may disagree with me, but Board Games Geek tells me that today the number 1 game of all times is also a game released in 2018, Brass Birmingham. And finally, we also have a very popular game like Nemesis. There are so many. This year was so prolific, was so fantastic. I have to give the number 1. The best year for board gaming was 7 years ago, was 2018. Which year did I miss? Which year you think deserved more to be in this list? Or what your opinions? Did I miss some other great games that belong to this category or this year? So please leave in a comment below. And if you've made it that far, thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, like it, share with your friends. You know the drill. This is not your first YouTube video. Am I right? Thank you very much and see you next time. Ciao.